Okay. Good morning, everybody. It is Jillian. It's a beautiful top of the morning. And wow, yesterday I was like deep in thought and my body was working through some stuff because I ate a little bit of junk food and then my body is working through it out. And I'm like, oh my God. So, anyways, yeah, the COVID. The COVID is still around. Just so you know, the COVID is still around. Myself and my dog, all of us are like canaries in a coal mine, and we can feel the environment when it changes. And then we go through an adaptation. Okay? And so, adaptation, which is an upset of homeostasis, will happen periodically when the environment changes. Okay? Some good examples are when you're in fight or flight mode, when you're in an environment that's very aggressive. Okay, so your adaptation is to fight or flight. Okay, there are other adaptations such as symptoms, such as cancer, disease, and chronic illness. So that is going to happen no matter what, on or off the juice. Now, why people die is because they don't survive their adaptation because they haven't given their body what it needs, and the body goes through its processes overnight, and if there isn't enough reserves in the different containers of your body, then this is why people don't survive heart attacks, strokes, and seizures, okay? So heart attacks, strokes, and seizures is the body trying to recalibrate from a predisposition, from a weakness within the neurological cardiovascular system. And what happens is when people do not continuously take care of their body and they still have the same predispositions, because obviously medicines and surgeries and all that are only like short-lived, then the body will try to recalibrate, and then a person could potentially not survive it because they don't have enough reserves in their body. Okay, so my dog and myself, I mean, I've been sneezing a lot because there's a lot of stuff in the environment. When I go outside, well, sneezing and blowing up a lot of mucus, okay? So when I go outside and I see the sunshine, I see all this stuff floating in the air. Now, not a lot of stuff, but you are in a microbiome. You're supposed to be moving through so much stuff in the air, so much stuff in your environment, and your body is supposed to be able to adapt to that. Okay, it's when it's when I don't. Now here's the thing. This is what I'm learning is how to speak in I statements. Okay, so I do fall into the whole you. I'm gonna try to do I. So when I don't bring in the necessary elements, because you and I are not that different. So I don't need to keep referencing you because it's not about you. It's about me and whether or not you want to mirror yourself around me. So when I don't bring enough of the necessary elements to energize my body to do like a reset or a recalibration, then I notice the accumulation. Okay, and so that's why jelly juice is so important, is because it allows you to release the excess. Because sometimes you have sometimes I had stagnation. Sometimes I have stagnation in my colon because of the type of foods that I ate. And so when I drink the J juice, it energizes my immune system and it allows me to release the excess. It helps push and clear the pipe, so to speak, whether it's the lymphatic system or my colon and my intestines. Okay. So another exercise I've been looking at is, it's parts of speech. Parts of speech is huge. I noticed when I changed the way I spoke to somebody, when I said, this is what I'm going to do, this is what I'm going to do, and you are not to do this. Now, now I would say you. When I say, please do not do this, I am going to do this, those are verb and noun statements with absolutely no projection of me trying to control somebody else. And then the other person had absolutely nothing else to say around that. And that's what hit me with the aha, because I've seen why it is the world is so messed up is because everybody that I've seen, when they are projecting and not taking personal responsibility, it's always you, them, they. Not so much we, but yeah, a little bit. But a lot of it is you, them, and they. And I don't see a lot of people taking personal responsibility. Because when I broke down a sentence from Lou Radowski's page, because I use Lou Radowski because he's an interesting dude. I like him because he's passionate about his belief system, but I know he has, health issues and all of that, and he's trying to wrap his mind around what's going on, and the conspiracy community is huge, and so it's all about them, and you, and all of that. And so when I changed his words around from, instead of being you have to stop buying into the system and stop reacting to the system because that's why we are in such a messed up place, I changed his words around and said, you or I have to stop buying into the system. I have to stop, catering to all the whatever. It was, so when you change it from a you to an I, you personalize it, and then it becomes more powerful. You're not trying to control somebody else. Okay, and so that's, and I know it seems kind of boring to some of you around parts of speech, but that is the very essence of mind control. When I listen to someone like Trump or Obama or any really good orators out there, and I hear all about you, and we, and all this other stuff, but never about I, that's when hypocrisy is doing what you do what I say, but not as I do. And there are directives, and that's how mind control, and then that's how the system gets people fighting with each other, because they're trying to control people who have no control over themselves. Okay? And so that's the whole beauty of J-Juice, is we're not trying to tell people what to expect. We're not trying to tell people what to do. We're not trying to tell anyone to do anything. We're saying be responsible for what it is that you are doing on a daily basis, what you're bringing into your body, what feelings and emotions and symptoms you're feeling, and how is that reflecting in your community. And then this is when I notice the changes in the people around me. This is when I notice the changes within me. Okay. And then I deal with the COVID that is like still around, and I still see, and so I still see people trying to recalibrate and trying to adapt. And it's difficult to watch the adaptation sometimes. Hold on. I have a little single cup coffee type of thing. And so it's one of those where, the J-Juice helps us, or helps me, get through the difficulties of watching people go through their recalibration. And the greatest thing is that when you go through recalibration and you're on the J-Juice, and you go through your adaptation and you're on the J-Juice, it's going to be fine. Okay? It's going to be fine. And it's like, but it's not easy going through the adaptation on J-Juice. It really isn't. And I never said it was. But it's necessary because it is a battle. Animals that are smaller will be more susceptible to the adaptation, because it's not that they don't have enough, it's because they're small, so they're able to pick up and go through those changes. When it comes to the humans, when you're pretty healed and sealed, the changes are going to be subtle. You'll see the sneezing. You may have a runny nose. You may have a headache, and that's pretty much it. And that would be your experience with the COVID, if that's what you feel. They were saying too that type O type of blood types have an easier time with the COVID, because you're not in that autoimmune stage of like type A and type B. Okay, type A and type B is surface marker antigen A, surface marker antigen B. And what is surface marker antigen? It's a type of antigen that's on your blood that constantly triggers your body to produce antibodies. And so you have a whole accumulation of antibodies that's causing then the reason why you have certain predispositions that are tied to type A and type B. Now, what are those predispositions? Well, get a bunch of type A and type B people and compare your medical history notes, and then you can figure that out. I haven't done that because I haven't asked enough people who are type A and type B what their medical history is, because it's none of my business. But if you are type A, type B, and anything other than type O, then you have surface marker antigen that's causing antibodies to accumulate. And then so when you get exposed to a virus that's new, you're going to be accumulating antibodies. And if you're not releasing any excess, you'll be accumulating. And then, yes, some people will die from a heart attack. Some people will die from pneumonia because of the overabundance, the amount that it accumulates at a very fast rate, more than your body's able to release. So yeah, type O, no wonder my husband and I survived the COVID, and we'll keep surviving. He's type O and I'm type O. Now, I was O positive in the military. Could I be O negative now? Well, I did try to do a blood test, and I could not prick my finger for the life of me. And that was a couple years ago. And I'm still today won't do that unless I absolutely have to. So I'm going to assume I'm O negative, but I couldn't tell you for sure. But I know that I'm a type O because I've been a type O for my whole life, as far as when I was in the military. Okay, so that's why my husband and I have survived the COVID. And those that don't, well, or those that are type A and type B might have a harder time. Not saying it's across the board, but they're saying predominantly type O's have an easier time dealing with the COVID. And if you're doing J-juice, you'll deal with the COVID, you'll deal with all the other predispositions, even with your type A and type B, and it's going to be a harder journey. So I wonder if a culture or a race has a particular predominance, and I'm going to look that up. Hold on. Does race have to do, let me see, does race have an influence on blood type? The interactions of race and blood. Blood can be racially or ethnically specific. Interesting. This is from the New York Times. They need more black blood. I wonder why. So if they need more, this is okay. So this is where you guys, this is what I researched. So this is May 14, 2019. We need black blood. I don't know what to say, not least because it has been said by the head of donor services at England National Health Service, Blood and Transplant. The interview was for a book I was writing on blood, a topic I knew little about. But the baldness of his statement, okay. I knew the history of race and blood was an ugly one. America's earliest blood bank, founded in 1937 at Cook County Hospital in Chicago, noted race on donor forms, and other blood banks followed suit. Okay. Okay, so most people know about 8 major blood groups: AB, and O, each of which can be positive or negative based on the Rh factor. These are determined by genes, and what group you are depends on what combination of proteins and sugars and antigens are on the outside of your red blood cells. So the International Society of Blood Transfusion lists 360 known antigens, but the combinations are infinitely more. Well, yeah. Many have no bearing on routine blood transfusions, although all were discovered because they cause a problem with compatibility. Okay. So would it be easier if all our bloods were the same? Blame bugs. Much of the variance has been driven by evolutionary selection by bacteria, malaria, and parasites, says Connie Westhoff, executive director. If malaria finds its way into the bloodstream via part of a particular antigen, the antigen may change to defend itself, leading to different blood types. So when someone doesn't release the excess, This is when the antibodies and other things change the blood type, okay? Cholera thrives better on intestinal cells derived from O-type stem cells. But O is also more protective against malaria. Interesting. So 27% of Asians have type A, but 40% of Caucasians do. Type B, okay, but 40% of Asians do. Okay, so for many complicated reasons, only 27% of Asians have type A, but 40% of Caucasians do as well. Type B is found more commonly in Asia than Europe. Okay. And then this works not just with blood types. Sickle cell traits is known to protect against malaria, which is a sickle cell, a painful and debilitating disease caused by malformed blood cells. I'm just trying to see, But they do need more. Okay. But what am I trying to say here? All right. Well, anyways, I'll do more research on this to find out. I mean, they say that, they did break it down that Asians have more of a type A and they need more blood from the Black population, which is, well, why is that? Because they have a distinct surface marker antigen that is needed for those that also have the same blood type. Because, yeah, I wouldn't take for an O positive or even O negative, O negative, you wouldn't take blood from an AB positive or an AB. Now, O negative, you could potentially get O positive blood, but you wouldn't necessarily get an AB because that would cause more antibodies to accumulate because that's all that antigen. Okay? So when you read between the lines, and you need more of a race's blood type, it means that there's a lot of surface marker antigen, okay? Which then causes predispositions. So where I got this, I don't know why I went on to this tangent as far as blood type. That's right, because type O. So the whole thing with the COVID is that if you have a certain blood type that has a lot more surface marker antigen, you're going to be more susceptible to the complications of that virus, okay? And that's why I say it's going to be harder for some on the J juice to stay on it and actually give a testimony that's so deep and so profound that it changes who they are and changes the world around them because of how many hurdles they have to jump, how many speed bumps they have to go over. And it's not easy. And so it was easy for me because I had 4 years for the most part. But I can see that when those have specific blood types that are not type O, they're going to have a harder time. Okay? And so that makes sense. So this confirms in a roundabout way that those with that are not type O, that are like type A or type B or AB positive, may have a harder time. And then, yes, some races are predominantly leaning towards those specific predispositions or those specific blood types, which then would then confirm the fact that some people are going to have a harder time with the J juice because of the amount of hurdles they have to jump through. Okay, and so, oh my God. So anyway, so I've been, learning some stuff and paying attention to doing I statements. When I go through and I do the you, some of these posts, and I go back and I change it to I, and it totally completely changes the whole tone. And it brings it back to me. It brings it back to what I'm doing, not what you should do. It brings it back to whatever, because it's assumed that people are going to be reflections of each other. It's assumed. We're not different. I'm no different than any of you, except for the color of my skin and the hair and maybe, my proportions, but that's it. We all are the same in body, mind, and spirit. Just how our body, mind, and spirit manifest is a little bit different. But that's not because of, we're so unique. It's because of how the environment has influenced us based upon predispositions. Okay. And so anyways, and so my point around JJ's is not to be hypocritical. When I bring everything back to me, what I do, what I say, whenever a speechwriter doesn't come from because a speechwriter, when someone writes a speech for somebody else, already that's just, you're programming a population. Speechwriters are programmers. They take the agenda and they spin it. Because let me tell you, I can't see Trump or Obama saying, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. As far as dealing with race relations or anything else. It's all about, well, we need to do this and we need to do that. And you got to do this and you got to do that. I haven't studied anybody's speech lately, but pick out the pronouns and look for anything that says I. Look for the adjectives. Okay, when there's a lot of adjectives in any speech, it's because they're trying to sell you something. There is an ulterior motive in any speech, in any post. Study your friends' posts. That's a good way to understand how you come across. How I come across. I look at other people's posts and I start changing the U's to the I's, and it completely changes everything. It really does. It makes a person personally accountable. And that's the point of JJ's. And that's why JJ is not popular, because people don't want to be personally accountable from what I've experienced. No matter how much you're like, okay, no matter how much I'm like, okay, here, change your words. Instead of saying you, say I, take personal responsibility. It lands on deaf ears because biochemically it's difficult when people are programmed. I've had my own mother say, do as I say, not as I do. That's probably why I was so tripped out, going there's something wrong here. There's something wrong here. There's something wrong here, But when you're told that you need to do something and the other person isn't doing it themselves, then you're just like, okay, there's something wrong here. So just pay attention to those things, and I'm going to do my thing. I'm going to go back to my book that I'm doing now, not the one that's coming out sometime in the next couple of weeks, but the one that I'm writing for the end of the year. And we'll go back and look for all the U's. So my exercise is to change. So if I'm going to change the world, I got to change the way in which I speak and then how I reference information. And it's not about you. It's about I, and me. And then, we're told that it's so selfish to be me, but it's not. Okay. Because you've got to take care of you. Everyone has to take care of themselves. Yes, you have children. Yes, you have a husband or a wife. It's not always about you, but prioritize. The intelligence is knowing the difference between what you can and cannot control. Okay. And so there are times when it is about the other person that, you can't handle their behaviors. And so, you've got to do, but it's not about them changing. It's about, you're saying, if I don't see a change in how things are being done in this house, I am going to leave. And that's a pretty powerful statement. And those are ultimatums, yes. But isn't it better to have an ultimatum saying, hey, I don't appreciate this behavior, and so if I don't get what I want, then I'm going to leave. Hey, okay, fine. If that person can handle those kind of ultimatums, then you know what? Either they'll change or you guys part ways. So even if I'm selfish about what I want and what I need, then it's up to the person to agree or part ways. And some people can't handle other people's selfishness, because some people can be very selfish too. So, there's got to be a balance. But no matter what, you lay your cards out. I lay my cards out. When I lay my cards out, there's no mistaking exactly my intention. And then it's up to you whether or not if you want to evolve or go the other direction. Okay? So that's the beauty of J Juice is where I can lay my cards out and I tell exactly the people what I am, who I am, what I'm about, and it's up to you to either align and evolve with me or you go and align and evolve somewhere else in a different direction. Okay? And that makes it easier. That way you're not begging someone to change because you're going to be the one to make that change if you don't see things change. It's not anybody else's responsibility but your own. But my own. So that's the beauty of J Juice is learning how to change my speech. And it helps with then, because you've probably seen me confuse my tenses from, past to present and you and they, and it's a stupid talk to text. But I don't always go back and change everything because I'm just so quick. All right, that's all I gotta say. You guys have a good day. Bye.